to get a little stabby. The first Crusade was like the original blockbuster hit, setting the stage for all the sequels, and prequels, if you count the People's Crusade, a whole other story of misguided enthusiasm. This is where it all began. A ragtag army of Europeans, fueled by faith and the promise of riches, marching across continents to reclaim Jerusalem. Imagine this, thousands of people, from seasoned knights to common folk, all trekking towards the Holy Land. It wasn't exactly a luxury cruise. We're talking scorching deserts, dwindling supplies, and the occasional bout of dysentery. Not exactly the Instagram-worthy pilgrimage they were hoping for, but hey, they had a goal, and by golly, they were going to take Jerusalem, even if it killed them. And kill it did, unfortunately, for both sides. The siege of Jerusalem in 1099 was brutal, a bloodbath that ended with the Crusaders victorious, but with a lot of explaining to do when they got to those pearly gates. Section 4. Key players. The A-list of the Crusades. No good story is complete without its cast of characters, and the Crusades had a lineup that could rival any Hollywood blockbuster. Let's meet some of the leading men, and yes, it was mostly men. Pope Urban II, the ultimate hype man. Urban was the one who kicked off the whole Crusade craze. Think of him as the medieval version of a motivational speaker, rallying the troops with promises of heavenly rewards and earthly treasures. Richard the Lionheart. The epitome of a warrior king, Richard I of England was all about that action. He was known for his bravery, his military prowess, and his really bad temper. Saladin. Now, here's a guy who deserves some respect. Saladin was the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, a brilliant military strategist, and a surprisingly chivalrous dude even by Crusader standards. He went toe-to-toe with Richard the Lionheart and lived to tell the tale, which is more than we can say for some. These are just a few of the big names in the Crusade saga. We've got emperors, kings, popes, and sultans, all vying for power, land, and a little divine intervention. It's a tangled web of alliances, betrayals, and enough backstabbing to make your head spin. Section 5. The Crusades Round 2 and Beyond. It's like a medieval sequel marathon. The first Crusade might have been a hit, but like any good Hollywood franchise, they just kept cranking out sequels. And just like those sequels, some were better than others. We had the Second Crusade, a bit of a flop, then the Third Crusade, starring our main man Richard the Lionheart, which was definitely more action-packed. But here's the thing about the Crusades. They weren't just about religion. Sure, that was the initial sales pitch, but there were other motivations at play. We're talking power, land, and cold, hard cash. Kings saw an opportunity to expand their kingdoms, merchants saw new markets to exploit, and younger sons who didn't inherit anything back home saw a chance to make their fortune or die trying. So while the church kept preaching about holy wars, the reality was a lot more complicated and often a lot less righteous. There were crusades against other Christians, crusades that got hopelessly lost, and crusades that achieved absolutely nothing except for a higher body count. It's enough to make you wonder if anyone really knew what they were doing. Section 6. Aftermath. What happens in the Holy Land doesn't stay in the Holy Land. By the time the last Crusader kingdom fell in the 13th century, the world had changed. The Crusades might be over, but their impact echoed throughout Europe and the Middle East. For starters, Europe got a taste for luxury goods from the East, like spices, silks, and those fancy new Arabic numerals. Trade flourished, new ideas were exchanged, and Europe started to crawl out of the Dark Ages and into the Renaissance. But it wasn't all sunshine and roses. The Crusades also left behind a legacy of religious intolerance and violence that still rears its ugly head today. The relationship between Christians and Muslims was forever altered, and the Crusades are still a sensitive topic to say the least. Section 7. Conclusion. The legacy that keeps on giving and taking. The Crusades. They were messy, they were complicated, and they were about a whole lot more than just religion. They were a clash of cultures, a grab for power, and a testament to the enduring power of faith, greed, and the human capacity for both incredible acts of courage and unspeakable brutality. The Crusades might be a thing of the past, but their legacy continues to shape our world. They remind us that history is never black and white, and that even with the best of intentions, things can go very, very wrong. So the next time someone tries to tell you that the Crusades were just a glorious fight for freedom, remember this: it's a lot more complicated than that. And trust us, you don't want to be stuck cleaning up after a medieval crusade. It's not pretty.